My name is Jason Goldberg, and I've been starting internet companies for almost 20 years now. And what I can tell you is that what we're doing here with Simple Token is by far the most exciting, encouraging, and interesting project of my entire professional career. Put simply, Simple Token is the bridge between cryptocurrencies and mainstream consumer apps. A simple way to think about Simple Token is as follows. 1, Simple Token is an ERC20 token. 2, it's a protocol that any consumer company can use to launch, deploy, and manage their own tokens in a safe, scalable environment. And 3, it's a software suite to enable managing tokens and tokenization and getting on a blockchain for consumer companies to be as easy as using services like Salesforce.com or Twilio or Stripe. So your developers can focus on what they do best and focus on their users rather than them learning blockchain technology. Now, I'm actually the guy who's going to stand up here at an ICO blockchain conference and say that we believe that there are way too many ICOs. We believe that there's too many companies that are pursuing ICOs for the wrong reason. That they're seeing fundraising, they're seeing dollar signs, and they're saying, we want to get in on this ICO action to take advantage of what might be a bubble. We think that an ICO and a token generation should be about something different. We believe that every token should have a utility to it. We think that every token should have an actual use to it. There should actually be a use of the token beyond just fundraising. We also believe that the purpose of tokenization, if you're creating a token and you're floating that token, should not be to raise money for the project. It should be to create an endowment for the users, for the community, for the ecosystem. Because the investors in a token sale are investing in the growth of a project and a protocol and the ability to create something that's valuable for millions and millions of people. You know, as I said, there's a lot of companies out there that are doing ICOs and token sales, trying to just turn a quick buck, and what we're really focused on is how do we create something that is a utility and a lasting endowment for the community and ecosystem we're trying to develop here. So Simple Token started off, like many businesses, with an aha moment. The aha moment that we had was about 18 months ago, we built an app called Peepo. And Peepo, the goal of Peepo is to decentralize and democratize user-generated tips, reviews, and advice, local and travel advice. The idea being that instead of giving away your tips and reviews for free to apps like TripAdvisor or Yelp, what if you can empower people to earn money from their own content and from their contributions, and having people getting paid for the value they're creating in those systems? And so we started exploring a crypto token about 15 months ago. And the aha moment that happened for us was earlier this year, when we looked at all the technology that we would need to build in order to tokenize Peepo. We looked at what we would need to build in terms of admin dashboards, the ability to monitor the economy, the ability to stabilize the coin, the ability to have price oracles, to have user-friendly wallets, to have scalability on open chains, but not having to be on actually public Ethereum. We looked at all this technology that we would need to build for one app, and that aha moment that we had was we realized that rather than building this for one app, we should build this for everyone. And that aha moment really was what the genesis of Simple Token was we said, rather than tokenizing one app, we should be building a protocol. We should be building a development layer that any app could use as an on-ramp to blockchain. I mentioned Twilio before. I mentioned companies like Stripe before. Think of it as analogous to this. Uber and Airbnb sent all of their SMS communication through Twilio. They could have built their own communication services themselves, but that's not their core business. So instead, they used Twilio. Tens of thousands of companies could have built what Stripe built, which is their own payment platform, plugging into other larger payment systems. But that's not their core business. So what they did is they used Stripe instead. And that's what we're doing with Simple Token. And so if you think about, blockchain has unleashed amazing technologies. If you look here, this is all the great technologies that's been built over the last couple of years. And more are being built every single day. But if you're a consumer app developer and you have no idea how to even get started with blockchain, the answer is not to cobble this together and this together and this together and this together. That makes no sense whatsoever. And most of those companies should never do their own ICO. They should be focusing on, if they want to have a token economy, what's their on-ramp and how do they actually get on blockchain and start to build a token economy with a set of tools that is consumer-friendly and allows them to manage and harness their token economy. And that's what we're doing with Simple Token. Simple Token is basically productizing blockchain for consumer companies. a number of different modules in order to help them manage their token economy. We help them with token design. So how do they take a symbol token and stake it against creating their own branded token? We can enable them to have a conversion rates, let's say 100 to 1 or 1,000 to 1 from symbol token to their token. So they could create, say, from $1 million worth of symbol tokens, they could create 100 million or 1 billion of their own tokens. We enable them to have the ability to set up certain types of token types and restrictions on their side chain. So think about it as, for instance, for incentives and rewards. You could give your users tokens as kind of incentives that they can't actually cash out. They can only spend on the platform, so there's a restricted token type. Or you have tokens that have certain types of unlocking features to them. We then enable them to have an identity module, because every consumer app that wants to have a token economy does not need to build their own KYC checks, does not need to build their own identity to make sure that every one user is one individual person. We provide a wallet module that they can reskin, so they can have a wallet that is branded to their own economy, that doesn't even show the user the crypto keys if they don't want to, but yet has the history of all their transactions, enables people to cash out and top up very efficiently. A big part of the meat of this is enabling them to create their various transaction types within their community. So they could create peer-to-peer transactions. That maybe the transaction is one user pays another user for a service, and it could be that it's a peer-to-peer transaction that's entirely decentralized, or it could be one where the community host is actually taking a transaction fee. It could be a B2B transaction, such as an API call. It could be a B2C transaction. It could be even subscriptions. So you think about the dashboard that we provide enables them to set up all these various transaction types within their community. We have a ledger module so that you can take this immutable ledger and actually make it searchable and browsable and usable by consumers. A rights module, and then a really big part of the meat of this as well is an administration module. You think about if you are a consumer app developer and you're launching an economy, you're launching a token, you need a way to actually monitor what's going on in your economy. What are the sources and the sinks? Where is any kind of potential fraud alerts? Are the people that are hoarding tokens? All this kind of stuff that is important as for administration. And then the last bit, which becomes really, really interesting as we build this network, is what we call the interoperability module. And so a way to think about this is on the first phase of symbol token, the way to think about it is that on the left side here, that all the transactions that happen within each of these member communities, we call them MCs, they're all basically on the side chain and just within those own member companies. So you have Symbol Token itself, which is a publicly traded Ethereum ERC20 token. And then the member companies' tokens they're not traded. And the transactions that happen within those member communities are basically just person to person or person to company, all within that community. It's only when a user needs to cash out or wants to buy more tokens that they come out and the staked Symbol token is dropped in order to support a cash out. Now, where this gets really interesting over time is as the network grows, you have this network of networks where you have interoperability between a user maybe earns a token in one part of the network and is able to spend it in another part of the network. If you think about just say like loyalty, points, reward systems, think about if you were able to earn British Airways Avios and walk into Pete's Coffee and spend your Avios with the entire transaction happening behind the scenes. That's what we're talking here in terms of this kind of interoperability, where you have companies that any internet company, or any company for that matter, could be launching their own loyalty, rewards, points program based on Symbol Token, yet have the network effects of being part of this larger network. And again, this kind of incentives and rewards around kind of points is just one use case for Symbol Token, but a very powerful one to think about in terms of how users could kind of the interoperability between the various companies that are all based off of Symbol Token. And then in addition to that, we get interoperability across broader Ethereum as well. From a technology perspective, one of the important things that we looked at is that we don't see the world as either your whole business is on a blockchain or you're not crypto. We look at the world as that's kind of a false premise. We say it is possible for companies to have part of their business on a blockchain, and we help enable that. And our business itself actually is based on technology that is part on blockchain and part not on blockchain. So we have the Ethereum mainnet, we have a bunch of off-chain tools, and then we have the open side chains that we're running on behalf of companies that are done in a cryptographically auditable manner so that the minting process of branded tokens is done in a way where it's basically, think about there is the value chain, and the utility chain. And we take basically the value chain, so an Ethereum-based ERC20 token, and we bring it onto the utility chain, which is a side chain that's developed for each of these companies to be able to manage their token economy in a safe and secure and scalable manner. We can go into a lot of the technology, anytime you guys can follow up with us. We also have published a 58-page slide deck on our website, simpletoken.org, that goes through this in a lot of detail. Over the next couple of weeks, we'll be publishing about 10 different side papers going into a lot of detail about very specific topics about the Simple Token platform and ecosystem. So again, I'm Jason Goldberg from Simple Token, and thank you all very much for your time.